Jeff and I are on our return trip back to Prince Rupert, British Columbia, from Haines, Alaska, on the Malaspina. And here is a map of where one can view whales. Which we happened to see this morning. There was about, for at least an hour. You can see the spouting in the water and then the tail flipping up. Ooh, we've just taken off from Cake, K-A-K-E. Needless to say, they are absolute experts. Male and females, young men and women, that ferry these boats. Here's a mural of old Alaska. Look at this. How many elk migrating. We spent a week up there in Alaska, Yukon. Do not see any elk. Well, we know who this is. Jeff entertaining.
Did you get the sea otter?
No, I didn't see the sea otter. Darn.
Georgia. We're on a 45-day motorcycle ride through the most beautiful country in the world, and absolutely enjoying it. Met some fantastic people, Jeff and Vanessa. And
so you went as far as where?
We have gone as far as halfway to the Arctic Circle, up the Haul Road, turned around due to the mud and the bad weather, didn't want to risk our lives. So now we're heading to Prince Rupert and going to head on back toward West Yellowstone.
There we are in the dining hall and the kitchen, and you are the head chef.
Head chef, yeah. And
we just wanted to say how much we enjoyed your
the
food.
food has been.
Yes.
Well, we appreciate that, ma'am, and we hope that we can provide good food all the way to the end of your voyage.
So what's for dinner tonight? We're vegetarian.
Tonight we have obviously not a vegetarian stuff, but I do have having some fish, which is grilled cod.
Is it from Alaska?
Yeah, of course, obviously. Alaska.
Yeah.
We serve only Alaskan seafood, man.
Right.
So, and also, if you're a vegetarian, we also have various menu items. There are strictly meat items, which are the veggie burgers. They're very, very good.
So how long have you been cooking on the ship?
About since 1990.
Since 1990.
Yeah, 1990. It's been a while.
Always for the Alaska Marine Highway?
I don't know. I have a prior experience from restaurants in Juneau and California. But yeah, my career here with Alaska Marine Highway has been since 1990.
No. And so they buy fresh fruit?
Our food is freshly frozen.
Mostly frozen.
Freshly frozen. Yeah. So.
And there's our purser, Jana.
Jana's a purser. We have a bunch of good people around.
Well, thank you so much for your time. And we'll let you get back to cooking. The dining room. Here are some native relics. Ooh, this is beaver skin. Raven drum.
Oh, hi.
I'm here with Sean, who
Sean Shakely
is,
from
as you
Hoona,
see from his
Alaska.
hat, Alaska Marine Highway.
Right. Well, I'm from
employee.
Alaska. Was born 1978, raised between Hoona and Juneau, Alaska. I started with Alaska Marine Highway last March. This is my second year. I've done a lot of work for them so far, but I'm a local Tlingit from Southeast Alaska. I live in Hoona, or from Hoona, but live in Juneau right now.
So it seems you're the only native on this, on this
Well,
ship.
there's few. No, oddly enough,
few?
there's few natives that are
Oh.
on there. Yeah, it's pretty neat. But other than that, yeah, there's definitely a lot of Filipinos for the cooks, and you have like other other different ethnicities on there. So.
So what do you do on the ship?
I'm a relief steward for now. So one big thing's customer service. That's what I learned from my last job. This last 6 seasons in Hoona, Alaska, Chichagof Island, 50 miles southeast from Juneau. I was doing the zip line, and I've worked both top tower and bottom tower. But communication and then customer relations. So it's nice, what our strong belief is, the customer's happy, we're happy.
Do these ships run year-round?
They run year round, yeah.
And when does it start to get cold?
Ooh, well, I ain't gonna lie. It'll have to be towards the middle and end of October. It'll start getting cold.
said, you can tell we're getting close to Prince Rupert.
Oh, Prince Rupert, because when we come around the bend, you start seeing the log ship.
So that's a logging ship.
Log ship.
Log ship.
Yeah, they have 5 hatches. So 5 hatches, if it's really loaded down from the bottom of the hold all the way to the top where the crown is, then you get 5.3 million board feet on there. Before, when I was growing up, when you come into Huna, it looked really, really sad and horrible because of clear cuts. But since the Huna Totem and Icy Strait Point had this thing where they have vacationers where the cruise ships can come in, they don't even have to ever cut down any more trees in the village where I'm from now. So when you get in there, it's really beautiful just to see everything so green.
Port city of Prince Rupert. It's really windy out there, that's why I'm inside.
Mystery solved. Where did this beautiful ship, ferry boat, that we just traveled 2 ways, some 1,600 miles from Prince Rupert all the way up to Haines, Alaska, get its name? Well, here it goes.
It was named after a glacier, and all glaciers were named after explorers, and this is Malaspina.
Alessandro Malaspina lived in the 1700s, was an Italian nobleman who spent most of his life as a Spanish naval officer and explorer. He got a dispatch from the King of Spain, looked for a northwest passage. Boy, that sounds interesting. Recently rumored to have been discovered. Malaspina had been planning to sail to Hawaii and Kamchatka, that must be in Russia, as well as the Pacific Northwest. Instead, he sailed from Acapulco. Why would anybody leave Acapulco? Directly to Yucatan Bay, Alaska, then known as Port Mulgrave, where the rumored passage was said to exist. Finding only an inlet, he carefully surveyed the Alaskan coast west to Prince William Sound. At Yucatan Bay, the expedition made contact with the Tlingit. Spanish scholars made a study of the tribe, recording information on social mores, language, economy, warfare, and burial practices. Artists with the expedition did paintings. Cool. Knowing that Cook had previously surveyed the coast west of Prince William Sound and finding no passage, our poor Malaspina, having unfulfilled his great aspirations, just as Henry Hudson had failed to fulfill his, ceased his search and sailed to the Spanish outpost at Nootka Sound on Vancouver Island. And that's where we're going next, to Vancouver Island. It's Wednesday morning, August 13th. We're here in Prince Rupert. We're about to take the BC Ferry from Prince Rupert to Port Hardy on Vancouver Island. Folks are starting to roll in now. You can see the entrance gateway up ahead, and to my right is the booking center. Ferry runs about 18 hours. We probably debark around 7 o'clock in the morning. We won't arrive until some midnight. There will be about 4 or 5 stops. And here is the lovely Vanessa walking up right now as I speak. So Vanessa, are you ready for a long day journey across the sea to Vancouver Island?
Oh yes, just gonna make sure we have our pillows. Take a nap.
Okay. Our ferry is probably at this very moment placed over at the dock, if I'm not mistaken. and they'll be unloading, or perhaps this could prove to be their first pickup point. Apparently it debarks here from Prince Rupert every 3 days. A lot of folks bring their pet friends with them on these trips. Be advised that they generally have to stay inside the vehicle, and since a ferry will make a number of stops, you're allowed to go down to your vehicle and collect your animal friend, take them for a walk at the port where the cars are debarking, passengers are debarking. However, you have to have your pass with you so you can board the ferry once again. One of the precautions we have to take, because we have the trailer, is we have a little refrigerator on the back, and it can pretty much drain your battery in a long ferry ride. So we end up separating the power unit from the car, but that usually deprives the battery of some of the power it needs to keep running over long distances to power the refrigerator. So what we will do at some point is grab some ice and just toss it in the refrigerator under those circumstances. This lady here was on the waiting list for the ferry. Are you taking a rig with you too?
No, we just have a car.
Just a car?
Yeah.
And because the ferries are fairly booked during the summertime.
Yes, it was just a potluck. We were going to go on the 17th, but we were put on the wait list, and then we've been ticketed, so hopefully we'll get on.
Are you going through to Vancouver Island as well?
Yes.
I
yes.
see.
And it saves 3 days driving.
Oh, it does. I know. We took the ferry up to Alaska.
Oh, okay.
Because we knew the roads would be tough on everything. It's
Right.
quite expensive.
Yes,
Pulling
yes.
a rig like this is about
I bet,
$1,000 just to get to Vancouver Island.
No. I'm travelling with my son, so
I
we
see.
sort of...
Well, tell us where you're from.
I'm from Australia.
From Australia?
Yeah,
And how did you
Sunshine Coast.
how did you get to Canada?
Had to get my son came here to do a ski season nearly 4 years ago.
Ah.
So he's due to come home this year because his visa runs out, and therefore I said, well, I'll come and do a road trip. So we've
Lovely.
been sleeping in the car, and we have no plan. So this has worked out well.
It works better when you don't have a plan.
Except
but
when the
where did
ferries
you
are full.
where did you start your adventure from?
He works at Panorama, which is in BC North. No,
So you didn't come across Canada. You
no.
just
I
within
flew
this
to Vancouver
province.
to Calgary, and then I caught the bus to Banff, and he picked me up there.
And then you'll
we've gone
fly back to Australia.
from Vancouver. That's why
wonderful.
I need to get back to Vancouver.
So you're crossing your fingers.
No, well, we're pretty. The woman in there more or less said,
Yeah, that's
you're
great.
on.
But
Yeah.
still, that's
Still,
good.
Until
That's
I'm on
really
there, I won't. So yeah.
Great.
So thank you, because otherwise we would have waited there probably.
in the queue, and somebody else might have gotten
Well,
the
as
spot.
she said, what you do is you then wait here, and then when they say send some cars,
Right.
extra cars, you then have to go in and get your ticket and everything. So we've got a ticket.
Very good. I hope
so
you and your
thank you.
son have a wonderful
We
visit
have. It's
and a
great,
nice
yeah.
flight back
He's
to Australia.
Going to miss it here. He loves the mountains and the snow. And
Oh,
the
he's going to
mountain
remain.
biking. No, he'll miss it when he comes home, I
Oh,
think.
well, there's always other opportunities
Yeah,
to come to
that's true.
Canada.
Okay,
Bye bye
thanks very
now.
much.
Our neighbors in the queue, right, ready to get on to the ferry. Are you going through to Vancouver Island?
Yes.
Yes. Where did
Across.
your journey start?
Well, we come from Canary Islands.
The Canary Islands, aren't they off the coast of like Africa or something?
Yes. We belong to Spain, but we live in Africa, we should say.
Wow.
Very near
Now, did you
Morocco.
have this rig
No, no,
ported?
no.
Is this a rental?
Yes, it is.
You did, it is.
So we came by plane, Canary Islands to Spain mainland, then to Toronto and Vancouver.
Your native language is Espanol,
Yes, it is.
and you speak English quite well.
I know.
Yeah, because I studied in a British school when I was young.
Oh, well, you do have a little bit of a British accent.
Oh.
So where will you go after Vancouver Island?
We're going back home.
Back home. Will you
We're
fly
going to
from
and then
Vancouver?
back home.
Are you sad to be heading back, or are you looking forward to getting home again?
Half.
Half, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you travel quite a bit
Yes.
in
we do.
general?
Yes.
Have you been to Asia?
No, our daughters have been in Asia.
Throughout Europe, no doubt?
Sorry?
You've been through Europe
Yes, we've been through.
and through
Europe.
Africa very much? South Africa?
No, Northern Africa.
Just northern Africa.
Yes.
Where the Serengeti?
Yes.
What is your most finest memory of your travels that comes to mind instantly? What comes to mind when you think about all your travels? What comes to mind most quickly?
¿Qué es lo primero se te viene a la mente de todos los viajes que has hecho? El que más te ha gustado. Well, my husband says, you know, he rides bikes and he's taken part in the Dakar race 3 times.
You did
So,
participate in the Dakar. That's across North Africa, isn't it?
now it's South America.
Now it's South America.
Yeah, because they had problems in Africa.
What kind of
Safety.
riding did you start off doing? Trials, motorcycle trials, enduros? How did you
Yes.
start? You started
Well-
off with motorcycle trials?
Yes.
Ah, I did some trials as a young man myself. It's a lot of fun and very safe. But it requires a great deal of expertise. Do you remember Malcolm Rathmell out of England?
No.
No. Okay. Anyway, so the Dakar racing was your favorite memory.
Yeah.
And yours?
It could have been, because on the 3rd time I went with him.
Ah.
And it was a beautiful experience. Very tiring,
I
but
bet.
it was a very nice experience.
Well, wonderful. Thanks for sharing all that with us. And
Thank
good
you.
travels to you.
Same to you.
All right.
Thank you.
Adios.
Adios.
So I'm also pinning these folks down to see if they want to tell their story. And look, they're traveling. This is a Goldwing, isn't it?
Yes, it's a gold thing.
And you guys were just telling me that you winter.
May I
And
have your attention, please? Foot passengers may not board the Northern Expedition bound for
passengers. That means people walking.
Please exit through here. They can help you out with the money.
Other motorcyclists queuing up, folks.
And motorbike riders, you guys will be going first and probably be going in a minute here. So all motorbike drivers, get ready.
Okay, that's these folks. But as you told me, you're out of Phoenix, but you're Canadians from Kamloops.
Yes.
How often do you travel? Or how long are you on the road for usually?
Well,
We're on. I went to Yukon about 2 weeks ago
Right.
on the motorbike,
Uh-huh.
and now we're just on a trip to the island.
Okay.
So we're going to do the island.
Uh-huh.
We rode from Kamloops all the way up here
Right.
in 2 days, and then we're going to do the island for the rest
Now,
of the
Kamloops is also part of British Columbia.
Yes, that's
Right.
correct.
So you're going to make the tour down the island, get to Victoria, take the ferry over to Vancouver,
Yes.
and then back to Kamloops.
Yeah.
And how long will your total journey be?
Just a week.
Just a week.
What's the most memorable experience you've had so far? What leaps to mind? Just like that, just association.
Freezing nights.
Freezing night. Well,
We're tenting.
tenting.
Yeah,
You guys are tenting.
Yeah, I usually go to airports and
Uh-huh.
we camp at the airports because I'm a pilot.
Sure,
so It's
wow.
a natural place and it's usually free and I can check the weather.
We've done
there.
that with our teardrop trailer too.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you know they now have electric airplanes that you can get about 600
yes, they
miles
do.
out
Yeah.
of, and they
Yeah.
recharge because they have panels on them.
Yeah.
You should consider that, and maintenance is far less on an electric airplane too than an IC engine.
Yeah,
so.
I know my rig cost me $50 an hour just for fuel.
Well, trade it in. Go electric. Anyway, great travels to you, folks.
Have a safe
I know you're
Have a
about
safe
to.
trip.
You're the first one in line. Keep the sunny side up. All right.
Thank you.
Sure, bye-bye. You can see in the mirror, there is a director behind us. He's inspecting the queue of vehicles. He just wants to make sure everything is shipshape. And what he'll do is he'll stand in front of different lines, because all of these different lines are either different kinds of vehicles. There's like 12 different rows of vehicles. Different types of vehicles and going to different final destinations, so they have to queue them all up in such a way that they can stage them off the... Okay, so this gentleman's going to queue us up to get aboard.
So, you want to know what I do?
Yeah, what do you do here? You got a flashlight?
Well, just about everything, really. I call myself a general laborer. I am technically called a terminal attendant. So I can forklift. I load groceries if they have groceries. Take any garbage off. Any recycling, all this, load vehicles, or I could be over at a checkpoint taking your tickets, doing that, or I could be on ramp and loading the foot passengers.
Will you be on the ferry with us?
No, I work
No.
on shore only.
Right here. So you
Right
live
here.
right here in
Yeah.
Prince Rupert?
Yeah, Prince Rupert, yeah. Been here all my life.
Wow, nice.
I'm
It's-
46.
we've noticed the weather up here for being so far north
been
is kind of
great.
nice, isn't it?
We've had almost 3 months of sun.
What?
Little drizzles of rain.
How
but-
cold was it last winter?
It was fairly cold, but Not
Ice froze,
yeah, ice
but not
froze.
like negative 10 or 20 degrees centigrade.
No, it's very rare we get negative 3.
Wow.
Roger, 8 down there. Yeah, so it's rare that we get really, really cold. We do get snow, but not to the point where people think we do.
Well, I won't tell anybody because then suddenly the housing prices are going to go through the roof up
They
here.
are going through the roof.
Oh, I bet you they are. Just like Vancouver, anywhere in British Columbia.
Because of the port, and then of course the LNG thing rose prices too, right?
Oh, no kidding.
There was 3 LNG folks trying to fight over Rupert.
Oh.
To get in and build.
I see. Big plants to actually process the liquid natural gas?
Petronas was one of them, and they're a big player.
Okay, so this place is on the grow, and
I hope so.
We're on the go.
I would hope so.
Hey, thanks a lot.
All right, have a good one.
All right, bye-bye.
See ya.
Okay, we rolled in here about 5:15, went through the gate, and it's almost 6:15, and it looks like they're starting to queue up passenger cars for admittance onto the ferry. There's some late arriving motorcyclists. I imagine they'll manage to get them squeezed through to wherever they are positioned on the boat.
It's a spare lane, so if we get more vehicles, like say intermediates for instance, that's exactly what this is for, like your lane. Your lane is under height towing units, and then technically lane 7 is over height towing units.
What we're seeing here now is a huge bus with dozens of passengers. We talked to the folks who drive these buses yesterday. Basically, this group has been traveling, one group was traveling all the way from Alberta and probably went through Banff, all the usual places we went. Well, we finally have a neighbor to the left. They're called B&M Excavating, and we couldn't help but make a joke. We'll dig this shit out for you. And now we got a whole series of rigs going on. Probably going to get off at the first stop, first port of entry back onto the coast.
So we see the fog has rolled in. It's settling on the window.
Yeah. Friend's busy out there with his flashlight giving directions. All these vehicles are over height, so they have to be parked in a special part of the ferry.
We're going to grab your tickets over there, guys, and have a good trip.
All right, thank you very much.
No problem.
Here we go. Golden Phoenix Publish. Later on. Enjoy your home here.
Well, we are the last vehicle on, just like when we got onto the Washington ferry. We were the very last vehicle. Last but not least.
Hello.
Hey.
Do you have 2 of the tickets?
Yeah, we do. There we go.
Perfect, you're good to go. Go ahead.
When we get off the ferry, though, don't we need those? Oh, okay. I mean, for stopovers. For stopovers.
Nope, you're good.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
That's interesting because on the Washington ferries, you needed your boarding passes to get off.
And that was the same with the Malaspina. We're about to board a ferry known as the Northern Expedition. It's one of the newer ferries in the BC Ferries line, and we are the very last vehicle aboard. Once again, if we can get past this gate, follow us all the way. And it looks like there's plenty of room aboard the ferry, so any fears that we weren't going to get a spot are now allayed. You can see passengers boarding right now. That's probably why they're holding us back a little bit. They don't want us to run over anybody that's behind those fences.
And it was so sunny here yesterday. Now
socked in. Yeah, they like you to turn off your headlights if you can when you're about to enter the ferries because the lights are right on their eyes. We learned that from the Malaspina. And they're hopefully going to open this gate here and allow us to pass through because we certainly can't pass under. Okay, well, the gate's open wide before us. And I don't think there'll be a brass band or anything, but I've got to watch for instruction on which lane to get into as we roll along. And he's going to give us some guidance here. Where to go. He's saying, follow the guide. Right, left. And he wants me in lane 6. We will be picking up other vehicles with this ferry along the route, so it's going to pack me in a little tight here.
That's good right there, sir.
Thank you. All right. Yeah, perfect. Well, I've never done anything perfect before in my life, especially as a musician.
Hello. I just love your hats. Are they for sailing?
Yeah.
Where did you get those?
On the boat.
On the boat. Have a good trip.
In the immortal words, well, alrighty then. We're now aboard the ferry. We just had a great talk with the two guys that loaded us on. One of them lives where we're going next, in Campbell River on Vancouver Island. We're now entering the Canoe Cafe, and you can see that it's actually a new cafe too. So very modern in architecture.
Beautiful floors.
Some videos. I have a cafe here where you're serving wine, similar to the Malaspina, a little more modern.
Well, they've spun up the engines. They're starting to spin up the motor a little bit. You can see the roiling in the water. But we have yet to cast off. It's now 7:31. You can see we're pushed off from dock. Churning of the water by the props. Lateral props for propulsion to the side. I have heard that there is, in fact, some kind of outside deck on the northern excursion. I'm going to go up these stairs and see if I can figure out where it's at. Aha! Suspicious doors right here. If they're not locked. Okay. Whoa! We now have a deck. Well, I'd say there's going to be any fore view, prow view, is going to be up there on that higher deck. Exit. So here I am on the upper deck. The uppermost deck is restricted in access. No doubt, here's the pilot's area. We've got radar installations. I wonder if they even have sonar down below. Northern Expedition. This vantage, we can look down on the deck I previously walked with the lifeboats. Proceeding astern to this nice deck here, although for some reason I feel being up here is a lot more precarious than the wider decks of the Malaspina. And here we are, deck 7, aft observation area. There's some solarium below. There's the trail of our prop wash. Here we are once again in home base, and I will confirm what our Nederlander friends said. There is indeed an aft deck.
Okay.
And boy, is it noisy up there when that guy blasts a foghorn.
Yeah, that's the same.
Here we have a passing pleasure craft. We now have visual view of the coastline. It's very similar to the one up north to Alaska through this fine portal. Time is 10:30. They just opened the car deck. And for those of us who want to take the trip down to our vehicles, we can do so.
Ooh, finally made my way outside. It's a beautiful ship. Actually, it's made in Germany. And this is the weather here. Salmon spawning. Smell that sea air. They're having a barbecue downstairs. We're all whale watching. Seen one so far, but no pictures of it yet. Here we go. Humpback whale. Let's see the spout. Oh, there's the tail. Well, I'm sorry to say, we saw its spout once, we saw its tail, and we have not seen it respout again. Don't know how long they can stay underwater, but we've been looking for several minutes.
Porpoise.
Oh, these are porpoises! Oh my gosh, must be a whole school of them. Us coming towards the boat. Oh. All we can see is a little splashing. Well, they look like they're having fun.
See them come up again?
Oh my gosh, look at that.
On the right side, the other side.
There's a lighthouse. Oh, you can see the captain of the boat. What a view!
We're about 15 minutes to Bela Bela, our only stop between Prince Rupert and Port Hardy. Here's the lighthouse leading in. Well, it's after 5 o'clock in the evening, or thereabouts, and we're about to take to port and dock here in Bella, British Columbia along the coast. On the Malaspina, you went through a complicated series of ropings in order to moor the ferry to the dock. This boat, more modern, is using station keeping, in which they just basically have thrust on the far side or the port side of the boat to press it up against these blocks down here that you can see. So it can more easily just push off without a whole lot of manual labor. How about that? We've been noticing jumping fish, and we were told they were a species of salmon. Let's see if we can get one here as we leave the Bella port. It looks pretty large out there, doesn't it? Look at the ripples, waves. Come on, one more time. Show off. Come on, show off. On deck 7, we just had an announcement over the loudspeaker that this is a whale watch opportunity through this passage in here. A lot of folks are starting to queue up to see if they can make something out. Here, there's been a whale sighting on the starboard side. Thank you. Just had a blow. You can see the vapor still in the air. There it is. And there's a bit of a dorsal. Fluke. Well, that's one show off. There's a more distant view of it. Kind of unusual weather phenomena up ahead. A wedge of cloud or vaporization right across the surface of the water. I don't know how to account for that. I was just talking to a Frenchman who lives in Normandy. He says he sees these there near cliffs, and they appear to be some kind of thermal inversion. Obviously, it has to be a lot colder where that wedge of cloud is than above it. We figure it's going to get pretty cool when we end up in the tail of it. This guy wins. He pinned the tail on the donkey. It is a temperature inversion, and it's due to the fact that we're about to what?
That's right. It's the water of the Pacific. It's colder than the water here in the Sound, and then when it's cooling down, it's vaporizing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Great. Good job.
Thank you.
Bad joke of the day. Where would you hide a guai? Why, off the coast of British Columbia, of course. We're now leaving our temperature inversion behind. And we're into the Pacific Ocean. On our way to Port Hardy, Vancouver Island, Canada. You know, if you can't see the whales, you can always go in and watch the movie. Welcome to the Scorch! Once again, we're back in our vehicle. About 15 minutes ago, we were told that we were coming to station keeping at Port Hardy, that we could rejoin our vehicles, and in a few minutes, engines will start lighting up, and we'll wait until the folks ahead of us start theirs before we start ours, keeping the exhaust to a minimum and then entering the exit ramp. Unlike our trip down from Haines, we won't be going through customs, which means the rollout off the ferry here will go fairly quickly because there won't be a queue at the customs line as there was in Prince Rupert.
We be getting egressing vehicles now. Shouldn't be long, folks. And if we're true to form, we'll be one of the last off the ferry. Next row over. Doesn't take long. So now it's our turn. Idea what the tide's going to be like, so we may have a steep climb, or there's a friendly crew member. That looks like a drop. Oh, this is nice, at least at this point. We're now at the Port Hardy, way up north on Vancouver Island.